Ayinger Brewery first started slinging beer back in 1877. A brewery located just outside of Munich produces some of the top beers in the world, including Celebrator Doppelbock and Altbairisch Dunkel. However, is this dark German lager worth checking out? Find out now on Two Dudes Reviews.
What up, guys? Yeah, today we have Ayinger's Altbairisch Dunkel. I'm sure I just butchered that name, so I apologize for that. But yeah, let's just crack it right open. So it is, naturally, according to the label, an authentic Bavarian dark. But let's get this pouring. And if there's one knock I can throw against your average German beer is, I wish they used just better labeling. The bottles, they're always kind of just run of the mill, just general, whatever. Actually, this kind of label right here, I'm trying to think what the American company is that uses. Now I'm totally drawing a blank on the company that makes some fantastic IPAs, but it has a very, I think it's out of Colorado, very similar logo, but I don't know. It's funny, some of the best, I think, actually just beer bottles in the industry are out of Mexico, because I love the painted on stuff. Rogue used to do a lot of painted on bottles, especially with like the Dead Guy Ale, but you don't really find that with the German stuff. Anyways, let's get into the smell. You do have that familiar, like black licorice, charcoal-y kind of aroma. Maybe like kind of molassesy. I don't know if there's like a raisin kind of thing. I don't know. It's very, it smells heavier than, it's only 5% alcohol by volume. Smelling it, I would actually kind of think it was going to be more than that. But yeah, it almost smells like a gingerbread cookie kind of thing with a little bit of like filled charcoal in it. I don't know. I saw charcoal toothpaste being sold the other day. I was like, Dad, whatever. Okay. But alright, yeah, it smells good. It smells like a Dunkel. And not necessarily, it's not always my go-to, but it smells, interesting, so I will recommend it on the smell. And now let's get into the taste. You do have that raisiny, molasses kind of flavor going on. Maybe a little bit of charcoal-y, kind of like if you left your grilling chicken and you leave it on a little too long, and you got that charcoal kind of like bark on the outside of it, and you get that kind of flavor to it. You get not with the chicken, but you got kind of like that charcoal-y kind of thing going on a little bit, but definitely with the raisin and the molasses going on. But it's got a nice crisp finish. It kind of the taste hits you right. It touches your, like, it hits your tongue first, and it's like, so the taste is most powerful initially, and then almost as it goes back, it kind of like fades away until it's gone. You don't have a lot of aftertaste, which actually kind of, sometimes you don't really want a whole bunch of aftertaste. And it's very clean on the back end. So I dig that. Sometimes with beers, you got some really funky aftertaste going on. I think it's got a great level of heaviness. You know, some of these Dunkels, they can get really, really heavy, and it's just like you almost like feel like, oh man, it's weighing me. Like I need a nap after this beer, which you know a lot of times you do anyways. But I don't know. Like I like. It's a dark, and a lot of times the darker beers can go heavier on the alcohol content. I think this is a very fantastic point where 5%, it's not super heavy. You get that darker molasses, raisiny, charcoaly thing going on the tip, but then it fades out. And so by the time you're ready for another sip, you've almost lost the flavor, and it's like, I gotta remind myself what it tastes like, and so you're back at it. And so I think for a dark beer, it's actually the perfect blend. And so I'm going to definitely recommend it for a taste. All right, next is value for price. And these Ayinger beers are a little more costly. They definitely start to add up. Like the larger ones, I can't remember if they make these in the slightly smaller bottles, but I kind of like these 1.9 fluid ounces. I feel like that's a great size for a beer. You know, it's like the 12 ounces. You're like, you know, what is this? It doesn't even fill up your pint glass. But this is good. I like it. But the price, you're definitely paying more. I mean, you're gonna buy one of these for what you would pay for a 6-pack of mass-produced macro beer or some of the larger microbreweries in the States. But so the price, it's not crazy, but it's still higher than what you might like to do. A lot of times the higher priced ones, they at least have higher alcohol content, so if you're looking to get a buzz, you don't need to drink as many. But since again this is only 5% and it's only slightly more than your general like 4.2% beer, yeah. So the value for price, I'm gonna give it a half. It's not to the point where it's like your head explodes from it being super crazy, but there's a little bit of a sticker price to it. So yeah, I'll give it a half on that. All right, next category is distinction. How distinct is it? And I mean, a lot of these German Dunkels, you know, especially because of the German purity laws of 1516, a lot of them share very similar characteristics because there's only certain kind of ingredients you can use in it, which, in my opinion, does handcuff a lot of German beers. I mean, it kind of ensures that a lot of them are great quality, but it prevents some experimentation stuff going on, which that's actually, the purity law is actually pretty much why I always say, for me, Belgium is the best beer country, just because they're open to so many other different kinds. But even with that said, this deep and malty, according to the label, at the foot of the Bavarian Alps, it's almost just perfectly done. And you know, it's hard to get like the flavors and characteristics and notes just perfectly layered for it to be like, yeah, this is just like fantastic. Like, there's not one that takes over. You get that raisinine, you get that molassesy, and you get all those things, but there's not one that's dominating it. You have, you know, a nice blend of everything together, and that really rounds out the beer. And because it's so like perfectly rounded out, I'll recommend it on distinction. All right, next category is drinkability, and actually for a darker beer, which they can start to get a little tricky to drink, and especially with me with the that heavy molassesy thing, sometimes those ones are just like, ugh, it just weighs it down even more. But this one, because they keep the alcohol on the lighter side, that helps with the drinkability factor. So you will be able to drink this and maybe be like, hey, you know, I'll go for another one. So the lighter alcohol with the darker beers, I think, is often a nice mixture for when you want to be able to drink more than one. So yes, I will recommend it on drinkability. And all right, last category is would I buy it again? And honestly, I think I would. The Dunkel's not necessarily my go-to kind of beer, although when you're in the thick of winter, especially if you live in areas where it snows, you want like darker beers. Maybe you don't want a super heavy dark beer because you're in the mood for drinking a couple. This is a great one to go for, and I could definitely see myself buying more of these. The sticker price will probably hold off from it being like a, put into the rotation of the beers I normally buy, but I will purchase it again, especially if just in the mood for a nice lighter Dunkel. But yes, that is my review of the Altbairisch Dunkel from Ayinger out of the Bavarian Alps. But let me know what you think of the beer in the comments, and if you could like and subscribe. The subscriptions really help with how things are going on YouTube now, so it actually really does do me a solid, so that'd be awesome. But so that is a review, and for myself and for Ayinger Altbairisch Dunkel, take it easy.